Hi, I thought we'd do an update. It's the 9th of October. I've just had a really productive meeting with two of our project funding specialists here, Joe and Linda. We're at the point where we wanted to start beginning to think about costings and how we would potentially fund that. A few significant things came out of their meeting. One is they think that that it should be theoretically possible to fund it, and that there's money out there, and that it would be potential for this, and it meets a lot of the sort of funding requirements that they think. So that could be really useful. One of the other things that came out of the meeting, other than they're going to have a look at it, because they were saying one of the things that is really good is if you've got a project focus like this, they can begin to chase the funding. So that's quite good. So it's another two. There's a staff on board who could look at that, and that'll feed straight into the actual output for the report, which is good. The other thing that came out of the studio, I think it's one of those things where you just when you're talking through it again, was if we decide not to go with a T level, which is it's looking like certainly the digital one would not be one we'd be going with for this. Some of the restrictions on how involved the college could be in this would be loosened, shall we say. So it doesn't have to be a completely separate company, because we're not necessarily using it as a vehicle for the T-level work placement. It would still be awesome to use it as a placement, for the outstanding teaching and learning point of view, but it would mean that some of the more, procedural requirements, I don't know how to phrase that, would be not as strict as that, and we could use it, which would make some of the things easier to do, because and also with regards to having to have the commercial element, which could be a difficult part of it, although Joe and Linda both had lots of ideas on that, of how you could commercialise it, so that could be quite good. We have a separate project there for our retail called Handpicked. It's in the Metro Centre. So one of the things about that, I think I'm about to get invaded. Can I? Sorry about that. So one of the things about that is that's a project that's managed by the college in the Metro Centre. So that's a manager, it's a project manager, and that's about doing sort of work experience. Obviously, that's for retail. It's an easier thing, potentially to commercialise than what we're doing. But the guys had lots of ideas how we would potentially commercialise that, but we wouldn't need to necessarily initially commercialise it. That could be kind of looking at a long-term thing. And if we are going with a creative T level, they're sort of early 2020s, so it would give us a bit longer to think about how we would change what we're doing into a commercial project from an incubation studio that's a vehicle for our HE. So that was quite good. So that was like super useful. Some of the other updates: Keighley College have been back on board, frankly. So we're going down for a meeting with them on the 7th. One of the other things that's come out as well that's potentially useful is, although the Pearson qualification, the HE one on the RQF is good, and we've already come up with a curriculum model that we could use for this, especially for year 2. One of the things that I do is I was on the validation panel for that qualification. I've been asked to be on a validation panel for a bespoke qualification that a college in Dublin is doing. I can't say more than that. It might offer the opportunity that if we didn't have an off-the-shelf qualification, we could either tweak one or come up with our own one that meets local needs, and so I'll be able to find out how the process for getting that, or basically how that works, where you literally get a validated qualification that's just for use by your centre, at least initially. So that I'm going out of London on the 1st of November for that. So that will feed into this. So quite a lot of things. So we've got Keith back on board. We've been doing, we went across to Proto with senior management yesterday as well, both from the council, and Digital Catapult and from Proto, so we could tour the facilities. And there was a lot of talk from Gateshead Council about the talent pipeline, how they need for this type of thing to become a reality. So it was quite good that we were already sort of we're already quite far in on this. So it was quite good having that sort of married up sort of priorities. And it also meets the local enterprise or the LEP priority as well. So and it's nice that senior management, like literally, two of the directors and the deputy principal were at the meeting, and the business development manager for the council and the skills manager for the council were there as well as the digital innovation manager. So it was quite a good mix of people in there. So there's traction. So I think as we get closer to the outputs, obviously there's a daunting task of pulling all this together into the actual project outputs. But the hope has always been that that the feasibility study would come up with yes, it's feasible, and sort of the work we've done this week has been quite positive on that. So yeah. But yeah, I just realised that it'd been a while since we'd done an update on this. So yeah, these things. Sorry if it was a bit rambly. I try not to script these. So for the future, we've got the steering group on Friday. We have Julie coming up from the Education and Training Foundation, which opportunity to show off what we've been doing so far, because obviously they provided the money to allow all this to be possible. So that'll be good. So hopefully we can get some useful information out of the steering group. Because we've got quite a bit of feedback, so that's quite good. See you soon.